The inch and 3/4 is a staple of the American Fire Service. It is often used when it shouldn't be because we use it most of the time on fires with great success. This reason is because most of our fires are in residential dwellings where fire loads are relatively small as compared to their commercial or industrial counterparts. Sometimes when using the inch and 3/4 out of habit, we are lucky and this good luck reinforces bad behavior. This leads to poor choices when selecting the right size line for fire control. We use the inch and 3/4 for fires in mostly residential dwellings. Those could be either single or multiple family dwellings. Generally, the inch and 3/4 can control multiple rooms of fires in these occupancies, and when moving interior, they offer greater speed and mobility towards the seat of the fire. Fire out a couple windows or an entire floor shouldn't warrant a 2.5 in a residence. The selection of a 2.5 follows an acronym used by FD&Y called adults. In this system, A equals advanced fire. In this situation, you have a large fire in a dwelling or occupancy where you want to stop the spread of the fire and then move in with smaller lines. This is common in garden apartments with fire spreading to the attic or sometimes attached garage fires. You should use a 2.5 or master stream for 2-car or larger attached garages, while the inch and 3/4 can be useful for a 1-car garage due to the size and area of the fire load. The D equals defensive operations. These are generally obvious upon arrival. You shouldn't be using smaller lines on defensive fires or exposure control. Use big streams from 2.5 inch or master stream devices to control, stop spread, and protect exposures in these situations. U stands for unable to determine extent and location of the fire. This is generally in occupancies that are large and open, where smoke spread is unimpeded and filling the big space. A fire can be quite large, and immediately the extent and location of the fire can't be determined in these occupancies. Use the 2.5 for reach, penetration, which is water on the target, and the higher GPM for potential large fire loads in these type of fires. L equals large open spaces. This is very similar to unable to determine extent and location. These are generally just big buildings, industrial buildings, commercial, strip malls, big box type stores, churches, schools, and the like. Again, reach, penetration, and high GPM are needed here. T equals tons of fire. This should be easy for you to figure out upon arrival. These are always defensive ops and probably need master stream devices. The inch and 3/4 has no use here. S is for standpipe systems. This is due to the design of the system for 2.5 inch fire lines. The riser is designed to provide GPM at low pressure. For example, prior to 1993, systems had to provide 65 psi at the highest outlet. This number just wasn't made up. It's due to the fact that we need 50 pounds of nozzle pressure on a smoothbore. We lose 5 pounds per section over 3 sections of hose flowing 250 gallons per minute. Some additional concerns also are advanced fire due to reflex time, large open areas in some buildings, potential for increased wind effects in high-rises, and some issues that develop within the system. You should expect there to be debris in the system from years of non-use and scale buildup. The debris will pass more easily through 2.5 inch fire lines and smoothbore tips. Systems also have pressure restricting devices and pressure reducing valves that have lower operating pressures and can be improperly set or used, creating drastic low pressure situations. Consider if you can only get 40 psi from your fire truck on the discharge. What size line would you choose? If you choose a 2.5, then do the same thing on the 10th floor. After we select the fire line, we need to consider placement. The first priority is between the fire and the victims to protect them from the fire. Usually protect the interior stairs and dwellings, and this can be commonly found inside the front door. When you arrive, look at 3 sides at minimum to determine the extent and location of the fire. Assess the terrain, and also determine if there's a fire below your entry point. Ask people where the fire is, the best route to get to the fire, and if people are trapped, if so, where they're trapped. This usually only takes a couple seconds and can provide you great information on getting to the fire faster. If the building is cut up or subdivided with multiple entrances, size up as the officer to determine the best route before committing hose to a particular entrance. Always do what you have to do to stop the spread of fire and put the fire out.